Have you ever imagined living in a world you thought was eternal, only to discover, little by little, that it was crumbling? In this video, we're going to travel together to Rome in the year 476 AD to follow the final days of the Western Roman Empire. With the help of AI and historical records, we'll visually recreate this decisive moment in history, understanding not just how Rome fell, but why the whole world had to change. For centuries, Rome was more than just a city. It was a model of civilization. Roads that crossed continents, laws that organized societies, armies that seemed invincible. For those living within its borders, Rome wasn't just powerful, it was eternal. But in the 5th century, that certainty begins to unravel. The empire's territory shrinks. Its borders become fragile. The central power no longer reaches every province. Emperors rise and fade away in just a few years, some in a matter of months. The throne no longer commands respect. The economy weakens. The currency loses its value. Trade declines. Major cities start to empty out. Gradually, living in the countryside becomes safer than staying in urban centers. Rome still exists in name. It still keeps its symbols, offices, and titles, but its structure is compromised. What once worked like a perfect gear now creaks, fails, and fragments. Meanwhile, beyond the borders, other peoples are on the move, not as a single wave of destruction, but as diverse groups, pushed by hunger, conflicts, and displacement. They approach Rome not just as enemies, but also as refugees and negotiators, and it's in this scenario of silent decay that the end begins. Now, let's understand why Rome was already weak long before it fell. For a long time, the fall of Rome was explained solely by the so-called barbarian invasions, but the truth goes deeper. No empire falls just from outside attacks when it's still strong on the inside. The Roman army is no longer the same. The legions that conquered the world are shrinking in numbers and discipline. Many soldiers are now foreign mercenaries, recruited from the Germanic tribes themselves. They fight for pay, not out of loyalty to Rome. The Rhine and Danube borders, once well protected, become porous. People cross into Roman territory, sometimes with permission, sometimes by force. The empire tries to integrate these groups, granting land in exchange for military service. But this integration is poorly managed and full of tension. Internally, the empire suffers from constant political crises. Generals fight for power. Emperors are imposed by the army. The authority of the state weakens. The central government can no longer protect every region or guarantee stability. In 410, a symbolic event shakes the Roman world. The city of Rome itself is sacked. It's not completely destroyed, but the psychological impact is huge. For the first time in centuries, Rome shows it can be hurt. Even so, the empire continues to exist, hurt, unstable, but still standing. Gradually, however, real power shifts into local hands. Military chiefs, regional leaders, and barbarian rulers take over roles that once belonged to the Roman state. The empire stops being a cohesive unit. While the West fragments, the East prospers. Constantinople remains rich, organized, and protected. The Roman Empire doesn't completely disappear. It permanently splits into two destinies. And in the West, only one last symbolic piece remains, an emperor with no real power. This is where the story approaches its decisive moment. In 476 AD, the Western Roman throne is occupied by a young emperor, Romulus Augustulus. His name carries an enormous symbolic weight. Romulus, like the founder of Rome. Augustulus, a reference to Augustus, the first emperor. But the symbolism doesn't reflect reality. Romulus is young, fragile, and governed by others. The one who really holds the power is General Odoacer, leader of the barbarian troops serving the Roman army. When Odoacer demands land, and official recognition for his soldiers and is ignored, he takes action. Without a major battle, without significant resistance, he deposes the young emperor. Romulus Augustulus isn't eliminated. There is no public show. He is simply removed and sent into exile. A simple gesture, almost bureaucratic, but with massive historical consequences. Odoacer doesn't proclaim himself emperor. Instead, he sends the imperial insignia to Constantinople, acknowledging there's no longer a need for an emperor in the West. In practice, this ends the existence of the Western Roman Empire. There's no official announcement to the people, no commemorative date or day of mourning. The empire simply stops functioning. After centuries ruling the known world, Rome ends in silence. The fall of the Western Roman Empire doesn't mean the end of Roman civilization. Many of its structures continue to exist. Roman law influences new laws. Latin evolves and gives rise to new languages. The church preserves knowledge and traditions, but the world changes deeply. Cities shrink. Long-distance trade weakens. Political power fragments. Security now depends on personal relationships and land ownership. A new model of social organization emerges. Barbarian kingdoms form over the ruins of the empire. Many of their leaders see themselves as Rome's heirs, not its destroyers. They adopt Roman titles, Roman laws, and Roman customs. End quote. 476 AD thus becomes a symbolic milestone. Not the end of everything, but the end of an era. Antiquity comes to a close. A new world begins to form. Rome falls, but it doesn't disappear. Its heritage crosses centuries and continues to shape the modern world. Maybe Rome's greatest lesson is this: not even what seems eternal is immune to time. The empire has ended, but its history remains alive today. If you like this story, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to follow the next ones. See you later.